Let's go back to the Farmers Federation Workplace Relations General Manager, Ben Rogers now. Ben, thanks so much for your time. We talk about the Skills Summit. We know the problems with the agricultural sector at the moment. The AWU has asked for urgent clarification around the suggestion from the NFF that non-monetary benefits need to be taken into account when you look at payment for these agricultural workers. So can you do that?
Yeah, I mean, we're not talking about workers being paid with tomatoes or anything ridiculous like that. We were just looking for some sort of clarification around the way the enterprise bargaining system works, and some simplification and equity brought to that system there. So no sort of ridiculous notions of paying with mandarins or anything like that, but taking into account accommodation, electricity, board, food, that sort of thing when we're negotiating those enterprise bargaining arrangements.
Okay, that's good news. So if you go and work on a farm, you're not going to be paid with mandarins. Ben, what are you proposing? Because enterprise bargaining doesn't always work. It doesn't work for the employer or the employees in many cases. And I would point out that these are deals that the unions have struck. So that's a whole nother issue. At this Jobs and Skills Summit, when you talk about enterprise bargaining and changing the IR system, what would you like to see changed?
Well, really, we'd just like to see a lot more clarity and clearer pathways to compliance. So there are some things that we've been in discussion with the government, with previous government. There were those round tables that Christian Porter held, which some really practical solutions emerged out of, like enabling the Fair Work Ombudsman to issue binding advices. So if an employer is not sure of what their obligations are in a given situation and what they should be doing, they can go to the Fair Work Ombudsman. The Fair Work Ombudsman can say, yep, this is what you should do. As long as they comply with that advice, then they're not exposed to any risk of prosecution. Not to say that if the advice is ultimately wrong, if the court finds the advice is wrong, they shouldn't make up back payments or anything like that. It's just that if they try to do the right thing, they go to an expert in the field and say, what do I need to do here? And the expert, who has the sort of seal of approval from the government, says this is what you need to do. They do that, then everything's fair.
What are you proposing when it comes to EBAs, for example? Because farm work is unique in and of itself, and food, board, other benefits are usually provided. Is it a one-size-fits-all approach you'd like to see, or within enterprise bargaining agreements, would you like to see a kind of template, if you like?
No, what we'd like to see is just a lot more flexibility in terms of what farms and employees can agree to, so that it really is suitable to the business needs of the farm. I mean, farms, you can't generalise across regions, across commodities. They're different businesses with different needs, and they are obviously driven by seasonality, driven by weather, that sort of thing. So farms need that flexibility in terms of the working arrangements. So we just want to have that flexibility built into the system to allow the enterprise agreements to enable that sort of flexibility. And we'd also like to see the process be a lot smoother, so you don't have to have a law degree in order to enter into an enterprise bargaining arrangement.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Before I let you go, this idea of allowing pensioners to work more without their payments being affected, is that something that would help your industry?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what we'd like to see is loosening up some of the restrictions on those people who can't presently work because of government arrangements, enabling them to work. So, yeah, lifting the cap on what pensioners, or removing the cap on what pensioners can earn without affecting their pension income is really, really important. And we can have those grey nomads out there helping on the farms, or we can have access to those, get those older Australians who are in the regional communities out there helping on the farms and helping with our labour crisis.
Ben, thanks so much for your time this morning.
My pleasure.